We welcome you, Senator. It's great
Thanks,
to have
Kelly.
you.
That's a lot, so thank you.
It is a lot, so I'll try to move through it quickly. And we definitely want to start on this vote this morning that just failed. Can you explain why it failed and where you think we're headed next?
Well, that's pretty straightforward. This was predicted to fail. Actually, the House passed an extension of unemployment benefits at the current rate 60 days ago. Over 60 days, it's been sitting on Mitch McConnell's desk. What we need here, given the numbers that you have been talking about all day, with the over 30% decrease with the GDP and the 10% decrease in the economy, we know, to quote the president, this is going to get worse before it gets better. Now, that doesn't mean that there aren't hardworking people out there stabilizing our economy every day, people trying to stay in business, including in my own state. But to me, that means you don't just do Band-Aids. You continue to look at what industries are being hit, what employees need, what people are out of work, and what do we need to get our testing system. They're proposing 20% of what was proposed in the House just to be able to get the tests out there so businesses can stay open or reopen again.
Sure, although a lot of this is coming down to the unemployment benefit. So for our investing audience who's watching, can you tell them what you think the most likely outcome is here? Is it likely to just lapse some kind of change and continue at $600 a week? Is it going away? What do you think?
I think it should stay for now at $600 a week. Obviously, at some point when things are getting better, it tapers down, and there's ways we did that after the last downturn. But I think there will be an agreement. It will be a general agreement. And I think it will include so many of the things that are in the HEROES Act right now. The Republicans put out a proposal that I thought was inadequate because it didn't include state and local aid when all of our states and cities are in such big trouble. Didn't include the money for elections that I am negotiating right now with Senator Roy Blunt, which is a good thing, and didn't include adequate help for workers. So that's all being negotiated right now, and I think that's part of why you see the Democrats rejecting this partial deal, because it is important that we do more when you're looking at those numbers that you've been talking about all day with our economy.
Yeah, no, and again, to us it now just looks like maybe there's sand in the gears of the whole package and the market's a little bit nervous about that.
I think we have to. I don't think we can go home without getting this done. We must get it done.
All right,
and I believe we will get it done.
Let me pivot and ask you about the president's tweet this morning. We've all seen it by now. 4 hours ago, he said, with mail-in voting, not absentee voting, 2020 will be the most inaccurate and fraudulent election in history, an embarrassment to the USA. He suggests delay the election until people can properly, securely, and safely vote. Now, let me add, before this becomes too political, there are elections even nearby. I believe Representative Engel lost his congressional seat, and we only found out about it weeks after the election. It is taking a while to tabulate these results. And is there a better way to approach the November election to avoid this kind of awful purgatory that we might be in?
Look, there will be delays in counting, but the key is that people have to be able to vote. And the president is doing a disservice to our democracy. And I'd say, if you don't want to make it political, let's look at what some of the Republicans have been saying. Secretaries of state across the country, including the Secretary of State of Iowa, Republican, actually said that saying that vote by mail is fraudulent is basically, to paraphrase, doing a disservice. You have Republican governors in Maryland and in Ohio and in New Hampshire that have fully embraced and asked for more assistance when it goes into this election. And the fact that Mitt Romney is saying vote by mail has worked great in Utah. So see, I didn't make it political. I used all Republicans.
But
and that's why I think we're going to have more funding for vote by mail. People shouldn't have to choose between putting their ballots in a mailbox or having to go to the hospital and getting sick.
Oh, 100%.
I mean, this is ridiculous.
And listen, there's a lot of issues with the way that kind of the election day is currently done. But should we set that deadline sooner or something? I mean, I know that wouldn't make much sense either. But again, we want to avoid the confusion and the agony of this being drawn out or votes being estimated and then changed.
You've got to be able to count votes. I've been through recounts, other even harder things, votes.
Exactly.
The Senate election that was 200 votes apart, not for me, in Senator Franken and Senator Coleman's race. And those things happen. They happen in America. But first of all, I think we're going to win big in this election. I don't think we're going to get there. But secondly, the president cannot delay the election. The election is set by law. He cannot take the Constitution and our laws into his own hands. And that's why I think you're seeing bipartisan support across the country for funding for elections when we're going from 5% vote by mail in states like New York to well over 60%. Of course, that's going to involve some delays. It's going to involve needing funding for postage and envelopes. It's that simple. But it's a hell of a lot safer way to vote than what happened in Wisconsin, where people were wearing homemade masks and garbage bags in the rain, and 70 of them got coronavirus.
Yeah, no, understood. It's going to be a mess.
And
either way.
My last thing I will say is, guess who votes by mail? The President of the United States, in the comfort of 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, with his mail-in ballot that he gets from Palm Beach in his slippers. I don't know if he was wearing slippers.
I don't think we know about the slippers part, but understood. Before we go, since we did have this big hearing yesterday with the big tech CEOs, it was unfortunate that they weren't there in person. I think it took a lot of the heat out of the hearing, frankly. What is the most likely next regulatory step that you can foresee? Is Congress going to write new laws for tech, or is this going to be legislated elsewhere?
We must have new antitrust laws. And one of my goals as the ranking Democrat on the antitrust subcommittee with my friend Mike Lee is to make antitrust cool again. And I think you're starting to see in this pandemic the enormous effect that this consolidation has. Look at what was proposed with Uber, Grubhub. With DoorDash, if that had gone through, those companies would have controlled 90% of the market. And one of the things we learned at the tech hearing was that, number one, Amazon wouldn't commit to the fact that it wasn't using some of the information they got from sellers to create their own products. And we saw some of these emails where Mark Zuckerberg talked about, well, startups can be acquired. And I have long expressed serious concerns about the Instagram purchase by Facebook as well as WhatsApp. I think those deals must be examined. And if we believe in capitalism, which so many of your viewers do, look back at the antitrust laws. Mr. Sherman, Senator Sherman, was a Republican from Ohio. Our founding fathers, many of them came to America because they wanted the freedom to have their own businesses and not be forced to buy from monopolies. We need to update our laws, and I have a number of proposals, some bipartisan in this front, to update our laws to fit the economy we're in so we can ensure more innovation and lower prices for consumers.
Well, Senator Klobuchar, I think we got it all in. Thank you so much.
Thanks so much, Kelly.